Hello, Julie here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing a layout that I created for the September Cyber Crop over at Mystical Scrapbooks. The theme for the month is movies, your favourite movie, and the challenge for this particular layout is to use a famous line from a movie. The papers I've chosen for this layout are from Cocoa Vanilla called These Days. I've got the collection pack and I'm going to use a few papers out of that. The photo I'm using is of my granddaughter when she was in a theatre production. My background is black cardstock and this is just for a frame around the layout. I'm going to trim this down, I'm going to cut it down so that it's 12 inches by 12 inches and then I'm going to cut a 1-inch frame from this cardstock so that I've got the middle piece of the cardstock to use for other things on my layout. To go on top of this black frame I'm going to use the paper called Daybreak and I only want a very thin border all the way around this, about 1/8 of an inch. So because the pattern on the paper goes around the page, I'm actually going to trim 1/8 of an inch off of each edge of the paper instead of taking 1/4 of an inch off of two sides, so that I'm left with as much pattern on the paper as I can. I've chosen some papers that I want to use and I'm going to use another sheet of the Daybreak. The yellow is Homegrown. This one with the hearts on it is called The Good Life. This one of course is the same one I used on the background, which is Daybreak. The one with the butterflies is called Take Flight and the stripe one is called Family Ties. I've cut 1-inch strips of each of these papers. Some of them I'm using both sides of them, and I'm going to play around now positioning them from coming down from the top of my layout. I want them at varying heights and I'm going to lay my photo over the top of them, so I want them to extend down past the bottom of the photo. I ended up using 9 1-inch strips across my layout. I filed around the edge of my photo with an emery board and then I cut a piece of black cardstock that was 6 1/8 inch square. My photo is 6 inches square, so I've just got a very fine black border around that photo which will help it stand out from all that pattern paper on the background. So now that I'm happy with my strips, I'm going to use my ruler and draw a line across so that I know what length to cut them off at. So I'll draw that line and then I'll use my scissors to cut each one of those off. To add a little bit more interest to the layout, I'm going to tear the bottom of each one of those strips so that they're not straight, so they're on a bit of an angle. Once I've done that, I'm going to use my black ink cube to ink around each of those strips. I wanted to add a little bit more interest to the background of my layout, so I just had a look through my stash and dug out an assortment of star stamps. I'm going to use my Distress Oxide in Salty Ocean and the plain Distress inks in Rusty Hinge, Bundled Sage and Victorian Velvet. Just to stamp these assortment of stamps, I'm not sure, I think I used about 3 or 4 different stamps, different sizes, and I'm going to just put them randomly on the background. Some of the inks I stamp off before I actually apply it to my background because I want to match the colour as closely as I can to what is in the pattern paper. Time now to attach my strips. I'm just attaching them with double-sided tape. I want to get the first one nice and straight so that when I butt all of the others up to it I know they're going to be straight. So I get my T-ruler out and I line it up, and I'm allowing about 1.5 inches away from the edge. So once that first one's in position, it's just a matter of attaching the next strip, butting it up to the edge of the previous strip and working my way across the page. Time now to attach my background to my black frame I use double-sided tape to do that as well, but you could use glue if you wanted to. Final touch for the background is to splatter some of this glimmer mist in Black Magic. Just a few splatters, not overdone. To embellish my layout, I'm going to use this Kaisercraft die called Squibble Star. Its number is DD216. I'll put a link to all of the products that I can find in the description box below if you're interested in looking at them. If I can't find the exact same thing, I might see if I can find something that's similar and link that below. Anyway, I've cut that star from some plain cardstock. I've used pumpkin pie, black, and I don't know the name of the sort of greenish coloured cardstock, but I've cut 3 of each one, and I'm going to use them on my page. I'm sticking my photo down using glue. I have attached a piece of scrap chipboard to the back of my photo so that it sits up from the layout a little bit, and I'm sort of positioning that centrally amongst those stripes as far as side to side is concerned, and it's about probably ½ an inch from the top. Now I'm just going to have a bit of a play around and decide where I want to place the stars. Once I'm happy with the placement of the stars, I go ahead and use my art glitter glue to attach the stars to the layout. The feature product for this month is Nuvo Drops, so I'm going to use this little stencil, and I'm going to use my Nuvo Jewel Drops in Sea Breeze and Nuvo Vintage Drops in Peachy Keen to stencil through onto my layout using my palette knife 2 different styles of the stars on the stencil. Just randomly, not overdone. There'll probably only be 3 or 4 of each colour or each style. To further embellish the layout in the favourite movie theme, I'm going to use this Ideology film strip ribbon, and I'm going to attach 2 layers to the bottom right hand corner under the photo. So I'm using my glue to attach that, but the photo will help to keep it in position. So I've used my scan and cut to cut my title. The font is called Cairo. The title is Here's Looking at You Kid, which is a famous line from the Casablanca movie. So I'm now going to use my T-ruler and make sure I try and get it straight, which of course I do not. The first line, Here's, is not straight when I actually end up finishing it, but there you go. I'm using my reversible tweezers. I find them invaluable to hold the letter while I apply the glue, and then it's very easy to put them in position using those tweezers, so they're a very handy tool to have in your stash. Anyway, I'm going to attach my title. I'm going to do it in 3 lines and sort of keep it basically within the bounds of the borders of the photo. So once I have my title in place, that is my layout completed. I will put a link to the cyber crop down in the description box, so pop over there and check it out. There's prizes to win. And thank you for watching my video today. If you're not already a subscriber, I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel. And if you click the bell next to the subscribe button, you'll be notified when I upload my next video. I hope you can join me for my next video, and thank you for being here today.